Welcome, Ras Ariel. We greatly appreciate your leadership. As always, we begin all things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your remarkable work.
Yeah, my name is Ariel. I have a couple projects. My primary business is Seed, which we make natural skin and hair care products that we retail directly to consumers and we supply retailers. Secondary businesses are Seed Tours, where we facilitate those who are coming home with an itinerary that helps them to get a real gist of what they might be coming home to. And lastly, but not least, we do events. So we have Earthseed events. And in that, naturally, well, currently, our primary event is an annual celebration of Marcus Messiah Garvey.
Okay.
That said, that's the business I am, as your father would often say, primarily and firstly, a husband, father, and leader of my small family.
Yeah, yeah. You're definitely busy, very busy man.
The
So what inspires you most about your current work?
inspiration is uh the goal, and the goal is self-reliance, sovereignty, um, all the ideals that man like Marcus spoke of and many of the other ancestors instilled in us through their teachings. Um, Ideally, we want to set an example that our youth will gladly follow, if not exactly to the letter, still with a degree of pride. We want to show that what is possible outside of the system. So, and the work that we do, all of the work that we do, to us is enjoyable.
Yeah,
The products that we produce are the products that we use.
yeah.
The sorry, the the other endeavors that we do, of course, celebrating Garvey is nothing but a joy as much as it is an obligation. Um, and likewise, receiving those who come home brings a whole lot of joy. So, I mean, we don't really have a difficult time getting up in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you. So what initially brought you to Ghana?
I was fleeing Babylon. I was fleeing the conditions over there
Yeah,
and fleeing a short life expectancy, um, just trying to create a better reality for my successive generation.
yeah,
At the time, I had my firstborn in my hands when I made the final decision. It was a child that I was considering for a few years before actually making it.
yeah,
But with my firstborn in my hand, and I looked outside my window and I saw some commotion taking place, it just dawned on me that absolutely not. I will not raise another set
yeah.
in that reality. So I got out. And aside from fleeing something, I was also running towards a reality where Black man governs his own destiny and where, the land that we look as far as we can see is fertile and it is ours to claim. It is ours to fight for. It is ours to live for.
Yeah.
So, with that opportunity at hand, and at the time I was young enough not to see any opposition, so naively I just jumped on the first plane going
Yeah.
and got over.
Well, kudos to you. Kudos to you. What are the so you are the founder of Earthseed. What inspired you to do this work, or what inspired you to start this work?
But like I said, everything that I do is pretty much what I do. So Earthseed are products that I was using, that I was making for myself.
Yeah.
Uh, the primary products are shea butter and black soap.
Mhm.
Naturally, every day we bath and every day we lotion. So
Yeah.
those are products that I use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
However, I found that when I came to Ghana, neither of those products were locally available in a palatable way.
Hmm.
Meaning outside, we were accustomed to seeing certain refinements with the packaging and with the presentation and with the uh, even the product itself.
Yeah.
But here we came to find it being sold very rudimentally, very unattractively.
Yeah.
Uh, and we recognize an opportunity
Yeah.
to, enhance its value here
Yeah.
for people here
Yeah.
who are also upwardly mobile.
Yeah.
And since that is the case, they probably no longer feel the need to use products that they might have used as a child and consider to be uh, of less value than some of the foreign imports.
Yeah.
So we decided to fill that void, and it's been a good move.
So, what are the challenges and barriers do you face in your work, and how are you and your team working to overcome them?
Right. So there are no barriers,
Hmm.
but there are challenges. We export.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that I face right now is the cost of exporting,
Mhm.
especially when selling from a website, which means that I sell small amounts to individuals, direct to consumer. And the cost that I generally pay for exporting those orders
Yeah.
are usually equivalent to or more than the cost of goods. So I find it difficult to pay somebody else as much as I'm making. I'm not in business with that person. I feel like I'm ultimately working for DHL in a way, and I don't really like that arrangement.
Yeah.
But that's a challenge. That's something that I would like to mitigate. That's something that I would like to find a much cheaper way of doing. Um, but in general, in doing business here, of course, we deal with human resources.
Yeah.
Of course, we deal with the daily grind of trying to get things done a certain way.
Yeah.
Uh, Currently, we have a team that is well adjusted and familiar with how we do business. And those challenges aren't necessarily in-house, but we don't solely rely on our team. We rely on a lot of suppliers, a lot of temporary contractors, and so forth. And daily, it's a challenge to get people to do things to a standard consistently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we find ourselves paying for things two and three times, simply because they're not done properly the first,
Yeah.
which is a major challenge. Of course, as I said, we export, but then we also import raw materials, that is the containers.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, another challenge is unnecessary because they do make plastic bottles here.
Mhm.
And what I've seen is they're capable of making them to a higher standard,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, they refuse to. So we are forced to import the standards that we require to put our products in.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, I mean, any form of importation, creates a logistics challenge, which it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. The facilities are here and the know-how is actually in the system.
Yeah.
So we would like to again see that brought up to par.
Okay.
But I think, to be honest with you, the challenges that we face are not much different than most businesses face
Mhm.
when doing business.
So, do you have any key set of priorities right now in your work?
Naturally, I mean, I'm in business to earn a profit,
Yes.
So I'm constantly trying to reduce my costs, improve my productivity, and maximize my time.
Yeah.
Um, with regards to our primary business, we really feel that we are underselling.
Hmm.
We have a fairly good client base,
Hmm.
and I currently feel like I rely on them too much. I need to increase their numbers substantially.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that I am currently working on three different businesses has, and the other two are fairly new, so I give them a whole lot more time, has caused my primary to be neglected. So we want to refocus some of our energy back on the primary, give it the attention that it requires, and watch it grow. Growth is important. We need to, by the time my children reach an age to which they want to travel, we need to be able to facilitate that. We need to be able to facilitate a lot of things that requires we grow our businesses a bit more than we have.
So I heard, so you are also the founder of the Marcus Garvey Day. What inspired this work?
Marcus Garvey, he inspired the work.
Well,
I
what
mean,
inspired you to like, you
to
know,
acknowledge him.
yeah, yeah.
That was it's a sense of obligation on our part. You know, those of us who know how much he impacted us and how much he has done for the movement overall. Uh, although there were two other functions happening around that time, none of them were of the sort that I would have attended, and I'm taking nothing from them. I simply have a way of doing things myself. I simply like what I like. I'm from a culture that we are accustomed to festivals a certain way. We're accustomed to celebrating a certain way. Um, and so I thought that I could bring something to the table that doesn't exist and that would be widely appreciated. And so I put my 2 cents in.
We deeply appreciate it. Thank you. And what is your ultimate goal? And what does success look like to you and your colleagues?
Well, if I'm to make it general, then my ultimate goal is really and truly sovereignty. It's really and truly to uh, make an example that makes this path inevitable for my children. Um, and of course, with sovereignty comes financial security, um, and all those things that are required. Financial security, security. Um, we can't be sovereign without an ability to protect what we have, and we can't be sovereign without an ability to afford what we need. So those are really my goals, to get to a point where the work that I have done lends to an example that, again, my children will follow. They're my greatest critics. And if they're okay with what I did and they think it's good enough to follow, then I know I've done well.
Ashe, Ashe. So do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action?
Calls to action. Well, I'm not sure who your audience is,
Well, our
but
audience would be thought leaders and practitioners, people who are generally looking to do good work in the community and also want to hear about other leaders doing good work in the community.
uh, well, I simply encourage ones to do what one feels compelled to do. Um, again, the lane that I chose really chose me. I didn't go out of my way to find a way. The way was there, and I just applied myself because it's what I naturally do. I didn't, I didn't, there was no,
Resistance.
there was no resistance on my part. There's resistance always when you're doing anything. But there was no great effort. It didn't, I didn't have to, like when you go to school, you have to apply yourself in calculus and you don't really feel that. There was never that. I just did what comes natural for me, and I generally encourage people to do that. And I find that your greatest success will be when you apply yourself to what comes natural to you.
Well, we so appreciate your time and remarkable leadership, Ariel. And we will close the way we begin this interview by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Thank you so, so much.
I share and give thanks. I have a wonderful day, and thank you for also taking heed, taking the time to listen and learn. And I am certain to see great things come out of you.
Thank you so, so much.
Uh, One love, Black.